Good morning from me as well. The world is changing, and it has been changing for many years. What this change is driven by, it's humans, us as individuals making that change. I don't know how many of you have seen this movie. That was social media a few decades in the past, when everybody would meet at the grocery store, exchange thoughts, exchange ideas. That was social media back then. Now the social media is perhaps this. Looking through the virtual glass and talking about who is doing what, exchanging information. So we are changing, and we have to cope with that and protect our data, which are important. We cannot use the old techniques, but we have to perhaps use some new techniques. Okay, we have a digital disruption. And the past is no longer a predictor of the future. We cannot use our old techniques. But we have to, of course, use our experience and build upon that. That is an idea. Often organizations neglect to see the signs, and the signs may be very subtle, with several incidents happening at the same time and affecting the entire business, being sales, supply chain, R&D, or even accounts payable. And we often neglect to see that, because what data is can be digital transactions, can be personal data, it can be everything that we do. So this can be disturbed as well. So let's not forget that. And of course, we all know that in the past 10 years or more, even less, we'll all be using these technologies. We have revolutionized the way we do marketing and taking decisions, exchanging our data. We have been more open to meeting new people, maybe, through the virtual social media. We have found old classmates that we have forgotten about. We'll probably never see them again, but at least we see some funny photos about them. Okay? But this is what happens when a failure or a breach happens. A previous speaker talked about that. Okay? And so we have Facebook stock drop when the events occurred with the Cambridge Analytica, and this is what happens when Zuckerberg's testimony started. Okay, this might change and go up, and whatever was the reason. The key here is that even this corporation, which their money is made out of data, didn't take care of its product, which is us, people. Okay, and they leaked all this data, and we learned about it. Okay, this is the same idea of the farm and the pigs. They are very happy, they like the farm because the food is free, but they don't realize that they're actually the product. And so I'm going to use ISACA's, some of ISACA research, which I'm a member as well, to talk about the gap that has been identified, and I have seen throughout my career from 1998 in various Big Four firms and IDACOM, and just give you some ideas here, okay? Because what we have seen, it's a great gap in knowledge. Cybersecurity policies are usually a #1 issue, okay, in corporate governance, but only 21% briefs the board about it. Cybersecurity is a challenge as a #1, but only 15% of the board of directors are actually getting trained on that. So we have a lack of understanding. We're missing the point. We do not speak the same language. So how can you, as a technical person, explain the business risks that occur from a technical mistake that maybe somebody did as a developer when they were doing the systems development lifecycle? And this is the idea of the rule as well, of GDPR, for example. It has privacy by design. You have to design it and be secure from thought to finish. Risk management, on the other hand, which is, I'm not talking about IT risk management only, I'm talking about operational risk, I'm talking about business risks. They see it as a #2 challenge, but only 33% of funding risk has actually been spent on operational risk management platforms. Platforms actually help an organization to identify, detect, measure the risk, the impact. What is the DPIA, the Data Privacy Impact Assessment, is basically part of that. Identifying what would be the risk if, and the impact, if a breach has happened to my organization. 64% of the respondents believed that internal threats are rising, and they are. But only 35% increase funding in security awareness, okay? So people are not actually aware about security matters. In past projects that we did, phishing and social engineering, it was very easy, even after having passed the training, to actually be able to gain data, even through the phone, by just asking for it and be polite about it. Okay, of course, most of the organizations are affected by GDPR, but from what we know up to now, it's that only 32% are satisfied for the process, and it's quite interesting because we had 2 years' time. And we are too late. And what we should see about regulations is that this is not the first regulation. There was another regulation that more or less said the same thing. It's just more precise. And you have other regulations regarding banking for Basel, regarding insurance, solvency, regarding Sarbanes-Oxley for all the companies that are in a New York or a US stock exchange. You have maritime cybersecurity that will happen in a couple of years, of cyber securing our boats and ships. So all these regulations are part of our day-to-day life, and we should be protecting them as we would protect any asset in the company, as you would protect something that you see and something that you don't see. Okay? So better technology governance improves business agility because it gives us more insight, it gives us more information, and perhaps 92% says that actually economic outcomes because we're becoming more efficient. But nearly only 1 in 5 have a governance framework around information and new technologies. So we have to raise the issue to the board. The old kid, the cybersecurity guy or that was sitting with the boys now has to go with the grown-ups and treat risk as part of the enterprise risk management, not just as something completely technical. Prioritize the assets that need protection, because maybe they are more important from what you see. Match cybersecurity to your strategy. And this is nothing new. I mean, if you look at the books 20 years ago, if you look at COVID 20 years ago, that's what basically it was saying. Discuss cybersecurity in the language of business, not IT. Forget about it, because none of the board of directors will probably understand what technology terms mean. So trying to integrate it in a governance, risk and compliance platform, having one point of reference, operational risk management, managing all the risks. So we're talking about anti-money laundering, fraud, we're talking about third-party risks, and that there are technologies that have been managed that, conduct risk, legal risk, model risk, and of course, IT risk, which as an IT auditor for many years, and Sarbanes-Oxley had to document and test a lot of IT controls, and cybersecurity, having them in one place, talking the same languages. From our experience with similar projects at ADACOM, over a dozen of governance risk and compliance experiences, we have seen a few things that more or less I've already mentioned. Expanding operational risk to include cybersecurity. We should speak the common language, connect the technical aspects to the people, okay? Make them understand and monitor better. We have to involve the board of directors. Technology could be seen as, from what we're discussing up to now, is a source of risk. But maybe it's also the part of the solution of moving to the next step as an evolution. We have we had the internet and WWW, we have the internet of things, we have the internet of everything. So let's start treating data as a strategic asset and build an acceptable data use, build company norms around that. Thank you. Thank you.